That's great. All right. All right, here's some preliminary thoughts around the bed platform. What I'm thinking of doing is putting a 2x4, not this short, but one that runs all the way to the end over here, and then comes up to this point that I've marked, which is the 53-inch mark, and that is the size of a full-size mattress, as I mentioned before. So I'll put that there. Essentially cut 2 of these at 53 inches, put 1 on each side, and then the platform itself is going to have 2x4s on the bottom of it, covered by a sheet of plywood that the mattress then goes on top of, and then that is going to sit exactly lined up with this particular piece right here. We'll probably run a couple 2x4s between this piece and the wall as well. What that will do is the platform will sit very neatly in between this wall and the opposite side. Because of that, there's really no chance for this to shift off of here, right? Because the platform is going to be effectively the width, well, minus probably about a ½ inch, the width of this wall to the other wall. So what that allows is it'll allow like a little bit of play in terms of the movement on here, but it will never like sort of slip. Can never slip and fall. It's sort of like it's preordained to sit on top of this if I construct it in a way which it does. So that's what'll happen. And then the whole front of this thing I will cover, appropriately. So probably from here on, because that still leaves us, this much space, which is probably about 16 inches or so. So whatever that measurement is, I'm going to try to aim to allow for placement of some kind of toilet underneath the bed platform. I've looked at a couple of the RV toilets and getting sort of an average height of those, and as long as it's easy to sort of slide under here and slide out from under here, then we're in good shape. Now we've got a lot of the wiring which originates under the bed. We've got a battery that needs a home. What I'm thinking of for the battery is that the battery goes all the way back here into the corner, back there, and then gets secured into that spot. And the electrical panel will either sit down here, or it'll go up right next to the bed up here and sort of be integrated into a kind of piece of furniture or similar. Odds are it's going to go up here on this ledge. That's my current thinking. It's just a better place for it in terms of access to these wires, running those wires, and it's easier to kind of like hide it back in here and have it just be situated there. So, all right, I'm just going to let the video do the talking here. This is the bed platform coming together. I'm putting a bunch of 2x4s in for supports. Check out what I do here. If any of it doesn't make any sense to you, I will explain everything that I did and why I did it after you watch this short compilation.
bed platform for a second. So this is the bottom of it. The rails that you just saw me install on the inside are going to go underneath this section here. And the same thing holds true for the back. There's one more piece here because there was, I needed to bridge the two little pieces that go onto the back side of this, because a full mattress is 53 inches wide. This is a 4x8 sheet of plywood, that's 48 inches, 53. We're missing 5 inches on the bottom. Ouch. That's these 5 inches right here. And the plywood is already at like a 3/4. It's pretty thick and strong, but over time it's going to sag, so you're going to want to support it. I like to do things to the point where I have minimal doubt that anything is going to go wrong with this. And for that reason, I went with 1, 2, 3 full-length 2x4s to run the extent of it. Now there isn't one up front because that would look ugly, and I'm probably going to do more of a trim strip up front because this is going to be the side facing the interior. But this section here is, I don't know what this is, 15 inches or so. I figured that was sufficient. The mattress is going to disperse weight as well. But I'm saying, like, if somebody were to sit on this edge, this stuff is really strong. And then immediately back here it gets supported with the additional weight, or not the additional weight, the additional strength of this 2x4. The other thing I didn't want to do was drop something down fairly far up front, because that limits the amount of space clearance that you have from the floor. And if you're going to push like a toilet or something like that underneath here, you're going to want that additional space for that to tuck in, potentially, theoretically. So that was the thought behind all this. The width should be fine. The length is 53 to mimic the mattress. The diameter of the space is like 75, which is the exact dimension of a full-size mattress in terms of the length of it. And I cut this platform down to like 74.5 though, to give it a little bit of breathing room on either side, because you don't want to like scrape up the walls every time you lift this up. That you're going to want to lift it up very often, but anyway, that's why I made it narrower than the actual space. So that's it. Let's get this thing in there, and then yeah, we'll see how it fits. We'll see how it sits in there, and that should do it for the day. I gotta go pick up my daughter. I have gone ahead and put these rails in. These are 53-inch 2x4s, and they went in to mimic where the rails on the bed platform are. So they're going to sit on top of this. So then only this gap here needs to be bridged, and I put 2 2x4s into the bottom of the bed platform. Again, whether you're doing a twin size mattress, full size, queen size, it's going to change the way that you do this. I don't want to give you exact measurements because it's pointless, because you're going to want to do something different probably. I used 5-inch screws to go through the tops of this into here. That held it in place pretty good, but just to give it a little bit more stability, I added these two things. Went in with a 4-inch screw here, and then in with the 3.5-inch screw into there. And these things are not moving, not budging. So as the next step, I'd like to drop the bed platform in here and just see how that fits. This thing is not light. Let's get you a better vantage point. Wow, okay. Once this is in, this is never coming out again. I think what we're gonna have to do is, that rail makes it too high. So we're gonna have to come off that rail. Okay, that's better. Go onto the rail over here.
These things always pain me a little bit, but yeah, I make mistakes, and I think it's important to acknowledge our mistakes, and I will do so here. So this is the bed platform. Conceptually great, you know, exactly the size of a full-size mattress. None of that went horribly wrong. And this isn't a huge mistake, but it is a mistake. So what I did is I took this and put it in there, and I wanted to lay it flat onto where the bed is going to go, into the back of the thing. The issue is, for this to go through the door, it has to go through on its side like this. I can't go vertically because it won't fit through the door. And once it's in there, it's so big that I can't maneuver it sideways and then tilt it and then slide it into place onto where those bed rails that I installed. And the reason for that is that once I get it sideways, these corners start to bump into the bottom of the ceiling. I'm already coming a foot off the floor because I have to get it onto the bump outs, and then it's up too high, and I'm trying to figure out whether this is just an issue of like I need an extra person to help me with this, but it's not. Two people wouldn't help for this particular situation, so I had to come up with a plan B. I left this as it was yesterday. My initial plan was to cut these corners out of this plywood, just these two corners, thinking that this little extra bit here might be enough for me to get it into place. I don't think it is. So my plan B is, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark the edge, the front of this 2x4 on the top, on the other side. And I'm going to, with the skill saw, the circular saw, just cut along that line that I put there. And what that'll do is that'll cause this whole front piece to come off. At that point, it's going to be, whatever that is, about 15 inches shorter. That will make it really easy for me to get it into place. Then what I have is this front piece with these two pieces attached to it still. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure it across the top with a like a bridging plate like this. So that'll go on top. That will hold the front to the back piece. And then I'm going to give this this piece support, because right now it's attached to, you know, these pieces of plywood. This is one continuous piece. When I cut it, it's going to weaken this piece, and particularly because there's no support along here. What I'm going to do at that point is, hold on, is put like two of these blocks under here. It's going to get drilled from the bottom, so that's going to make this not want to go anywhere. And I'll put two, you know, one there and one over here. And then whatever pressure you put on this from the other side will be counteracted by having this brace under here. That is how we're going to do it. So, not terrible. It'll take me about, let's call it a half hour to fix this issue. Wear these, always. Don't do as I do, and only wear them sometimes. For a second I was like, wait a second, why didn't that just drop? Because I actually glued these front pieces to
one behind it. I hope it's just glue. I may have run a screw through the back. Yeah, I think it's just glue. Yeah. So this is piece number 2. This piece, I know we can get this one in. Okay. Moment of truth. It's a lot lighter now too. Somewhat lighter. Yes.
Now let's witness the second part of this. Okay, first part, now part 2. Lines right up front here and over here. And I wouldn't suggest sitting on this because you see the flex. We're going to take that flex out. We're going to re-level this by the use of those wooden blocks that I mentioned before. There you have it, bed platform. A little flimsy up front, but we'll remedy that right now. Alright, for this bit, I decided that 1 block's going to be sufficient. In fact, I am going to pop this straight under here. I'm actually going to take one of these screws out on this little plate and run a rather large screw through there going into the top of this, and I'm going to go through the back of this lower 2x4 into this block, and that will seal the deal. And I'll run one more in probably a little further up front. So it's going to be like this on the underside, and that is going to give this all the hold that it needs. I mean, even with this little plate here, it might actually be sufficient, but you know, because we got a mattress on here, it's not like you're going to put 500 pounds like on this 1 square inch of the bed platform. You know, even if you take a large weight and you put it on top of a mattress, that mattress is going to disperse that weight across a much larger section of the platform itself. So, not too concerned. Happy with the solution. Yeah, I'm just going to get this plate, this piece in place from the underside, and then we've got this. It's a wrap. Let me get the proper screw for this, and call it a day. Oh, that's great. All right, that's it. The bed platform is in, and so concludes this week's episode. We will be covering the kitchen install in next week's installment. So make sure you subscribe and come back and check that out. Thanks.